Welcome. Hey, thank you guys for coming out. It's always an exciting time of the year when we have media day. I'm always amazed at how the support has grown over the past 10 years. I'm just honored to be the head baseball coach at East Carolina, going into our 10th season, and to be a part of something that's way bigger than me, dating back when I was a player and now as a coach, and just excited to get going with our guys. Our guys have done a really good job in the preseason, and we're super excited about getting going in real practice, real scrimmages this weekend.
Questions for Coach?
Coach, can you believe this is year 10?
No, I can't, to be honest with you. I look back at you, man, hey, we're getting older, aren't we?
I've been old.
But no, it's been a blessing, obviously, to be here for 10th season. And coaching today, the longevity of coaches obviously is getting shorter and shorter. So it's an honor to be the head coach at East Carolina, and we're super excited to get going.
With the knowledge you have now, what would you say to that first year Cliff Godwin 10 years ago?
Well, I had one of my best friends tell me recently that how I changed in a good way, but that I used to tell people that we were going to kick their tails. We would kick their tails, and then I would tell them how we were going to do it. So I would tone it back a whole lot and drop my ego up big time a little bit, and know that it's a collective effort, and if it wasn't for the good Lord up top, that I wouldn't be sitting here today. So those are some things that humble myself for sure, dating back 10 years ago.
What players on this team are you looking at as leaders right now when the coaches aren't around to guide the team?
Well, first off, Cliff, I would say this group has a chance to be the best leadership group that we've ever had here in the 10 years that I've been the coach here. And it's been just awesome to watch those guys continue to grow and develop, and the closeness of this group. And you'll hear from the players, but they all told me at the end of the fall it's the closest group that we've ever had here. And, you got J-Dub, who's a fifth-year guy, so half a decade he's been here. So I think he's got a pretty good idea of what has happened in the past. But Carter Cunningham has been unbelievable. Trey Savage, all those junior pitchers, Jake Hunter, Shinkman. I'm thinking JC has done a really good job as well. And there's others. There's about 14 guys in our leadership group, and we try to communicate on a regular basis, even if we're not meeting once a week, and bouncing ideas off each other. But the thing I would tell you is it's the most player-led group that we've ever had, and I gave them a platform at the end of the fall to choose what the motto of the 2024 season is going to be, and so I won't reveal that right now, but if those guys mention it, they can tell you. But they chose it, and that's what we're going with in 2024.
As a three-time co-captain yourself during your playing years at ECU, what characteristics do you look for from those guys in order to select the captain?
Well, I think you got to trust. That's the number one thing. I mean, we have that on our shirts. You got to trust them. They have to trust me. The players have to trust one another. I think that's the biggest thing. And then I think today it's a lot harder to have intentional, maybe difficult conversations when people are not meeting the standard, so to speak. And the one thing I've gotten better at is I've taken the emotion out of it when somebody doesn't meet the standard. It's just take the emotion out of it so you don't lose your composure, and my blood pressure doesn't skyrocket. And it's just like, hey man, you didn't meet the standard, and did you understand the standard? How can we get you up to the standard? And that's what those guys have taken a lot of the stress off me, because they're handling a lot of that stuff in the locker room.
What did you like out of the fall, series you guys playing, just practicing? What did you guys like out of the fall?
Well, we got a lot better from the beginning of the fall to the end. We were able to get a lot of guys out there that had not been put in those situations before. Everybody will probably ask about Bristol Carter, but him being able to play center field against UVA and Clemson, I think that's a good experience for him. Ethan Norby, almost said Connor, getting out there and being able to pitch against a different uniform, and some other guys, but I think it was big for Colby Wallace to get out there, and a bunch of young guys. No offense, we know what Trey Savage and Zach Root, some of the older pitchers can do against different uniforms, so getting those other guys out there was a big deal.
You look at someone like Ryan McChrystal and battled through some injuries last year, but
How much work has he put into just being able to stay healthy this off season, and what would it mean for him to kind of put it together and have the year we know he can?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. He's worked really hard with our athletic trainer, Logan Rupp now, also going over to Young's physical therapy to manage that back. I mean, that's something that is not going to go away. He's going to have to do that, but he's been really healthy. He's been really diligent with his work with Coach Lartigue on his catching and his hitting. He's continued to mature as a leader in our program. So, of course, all of us want him to have that breakout season that we've seen in the fall. I mean, both falls he's played awesome, swung the bat really well, and this past fall he played great defensively. So, we want to definitely take some stress off J-Dub going into the spring and not having to catch him every inning of coming through the losers bracket in a conference tournament game and looking at him and me having to pinch hit for him in the conference tournament championship game because he couldn't even swing the bat. So we definitely think Ryan and also Walker Barron can take some of that workload off J-Dub this spring.
Has it been help for the young pitchers to have two catchers to their level who have been in the program as long as they have? And how have they kind of taken the young pitchers under their wings?
I think J-Dub's the one that to me has, and you can ask Coach Knight this, but he has a lot of conversations with the pitchers behind the scenes. So does Ryan, but J-Dub is he's got a really calm demeanor about him. As you guys can see, you don't see a lot of emotion, either really high or really low. And I think the guys really respect him because he just shows up and goes to work every day. When you have a guy that's a really good player that works really hard every day, then you earn a lot of respect by your peers.
Number 11 on the preseason poll, high expectations for this team. How do you handle that type of pressure going into the year?
I don't mean this ugly, but is this your first year here? Yeah. So there's a lot of expectations each year, and nobody puts more expectations on us than ourselves. The one thing we need to do is control the narrative. We have used the example of Michigan football with all the stuff they had that happened off the field that they had to deal with, and they just kept showing up and beating people on Saturdays and then won the national championship. So that's really the way we're looking at it. You've heard me say ignore the noise. It's there. They'll see it on social media. That's great, but guess what? They don't pass out championships in the preseason. So our goal is to work to get better, a little bit better each and every day.
You made a coaching hire in the offseason, a new hitting coach, Henry. I know he has some catching experience too. I mean, what are you looking forward to out of him?
Well, I think when you look at the people I hire, it's relationship based, and he's young. I recruited him to Ole Miss. He was a switch hitting catcher. It's amazing that he still wanted to work for me after I coached him his freshman year. That was at 14 when we went to Omaha. He actually didn't even travel to the College World Series because he didn't make the travel roster, but 2 years later, he was a 7th round draft pick, I think by the Phillies, and made it all the way up to AAA and had an injury, or he probably would have played in the big leagues. But you got a switch hitter, you got a catcher. He was a student assistant in 2021 when Ole Miss won the national championship, or 22, and then last year he was at Arkansas State, grinding as a volunteer assistant. And when the opportunity presented itself, it was a no-brainer for me because I know that he is an unbelievable human being, super knowledgeable about hitting and super knowledgeable about catching. So I would say that's another thing in our staff. When you look at our staff, starting with AK, he was a catcher. Heath Blackman, our director of player development, was a catcher. Our director of baseball operations, Blake Hardery, was a catcher, and I was a catcher. So a lot of the experience from the catching position, but also you get to see the entire field, and you have to have those leadership qualities to play that position. So super excited about being. He's been awesome with our guys. Our guys love him. Also, Bryant Packard is our student assistant, so he's helping Henry out in the cages, and he's been tremendous in helping out the outfielders as well. And you talk about a guy that all these guys saw play at a very high level here and win a lot of championships, and now he's talking to them in the cages, and he cares so much about this place, which has really been neat for me to see. It makes me feel old a little bit, but it's just been a really unique experience for me to have one of our former players come back and just give so much back to our players.
Coach, can you talk about the modern baseball with college baseball with the NIL, and how does that affect you with recruiting or just in general?
So, initially I probably gave the wrong perspective when it first came out, just because I didn't think there was a lot of transparency, a lot of rules and regulation, they kept saying it's not pay for play. Well, guess what it is? It's pay for play. I'm all for rewarding our guys who have been in our program and have done the things the right way, from a Trey Savage to a Justin Wilcoxon to a Joey Barini. I think it's also worth mentioning that Joey Barini has never received a cent of baseball scholarship money since he's been at East Carolina, because we only have 11.7. J-Dub has only received scholarship this year in his 5th year. Guys that have grinded, that have developed with our coaching staff, that means something to me, because that's what this place was built on. Now, I still want them to be able to make some money if that is available, and so those guys are able to get some money, but it also creates jealousy. I asked Trey Savage this summer, hey, does NIL create jealousy? 100%, coach. So that's another thing we have to navigate, but I'm all for helping the returners. I can't foresee Coach Godwin offering any recruit any amount of money, because that is going to take away from the culture that we have in our locker room. A lot of coaches talk about it, and I'm not sitting up here saying that we have the best culture in the country, but it means something to me to have culture, and you can't sustain success the way we do if you don't have great culture within that locker room.
Have some new corner infielders, at least everyday starters this year. Moylan at first and A-Mac at third. What do those positions look like right now?
Dixon Williams has done a really good job. He had a really, really good fall. He led our team in RBIs by a landslide. He has played pretty consistent defense. Colby Wallace, if you'd have asked me at the end of the fall, hey, did I think he would be able to play third base at the level we needed to him defensively, I probably would have told you no. Man, he's looked great in the preseason so far. I would say those two guys, Nate Crispin can go over there. Nate is a swing man. He can play third, he can play short, he can play second, he can play outfield. At first base, Carter Cunningham, Cam Clonch, Chaz Myers. We're also working Colby over there some because he might pitch some. But I would say Dixon and Colby and Nate are going to be the main guys that you will see over at third base.
How about left field?
Left field, probably Luke Nowak, will be in left. Not that Carter Cunningham can't go out there. Riley Johnson still is battling some injury stuff. We're trying to manage that as best we can. He wants to play. He's just dealing with some dislocation of his shoulders, so he's probably going to need surgery at some point in time after the season, but Logan's doing a really good job with him. Bristol Carter will play center most likely, but Carter can go out there, Nowak can go out there, JC will be in right, but we got a lot of options and a lot of depth when it comes to the outfield position. So,
kind of going off that, Riley, obviously, when he is available, we've seen him come in a lot of late games and come in. How much of a balance is that, putting that defense in with Riley, who we know what he's capable of defensively, and then balance of taking out a bat, like a JC or someone, just how do you balance that like these games?
Well, I mean, when you have a lead, you put your best defense out there. So Riley, though, actually, and I don't know if anybody knows this, and I didn't know it at the time, but his last 7 pinch hit appearances last year were hits. Think about that. So I was an idiot for not starting him. Like, well, why wouldn't you start that guy, right? So, but you talk about a team guy, a selfless human being, a guy that just wants to win. He's grown up so much, and he's part of our leadership group as well. And he's really been the best assistant coach for Bristol Carter because he stands out there with him in center field every day, even when Riley can't do the stuff that he would be able to do if he was out there.
You've talked that you don't love the portal because you like to get guys in and adapt them to your culture right from the beginning, but you do have a couple transfers this year. How have they vibed with the locker room and adapted to your culture here at East Carolina?
I don't like the portal and NIL together because it's become a corrupt business. So people are cheating, and I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that, but that's not why it was created. So we look at it very specifically. I thought Jeff, AK, myself did a really good job of bringing in really good people. No offense from the places that they came from, but they normally came from a little bit less of a program that were good players. So they walk in here, they look around, they go, hey man, this place is awesome. Look at all these facilities we have. They're so appreciative of what they have. Plus they're coming to a winning program when a couple of them didn't come from a winning program. And the guys have really meshed well with the returners that we have, and it's been a really good mix for us.
You mentioned Bristol Carter. He pitches too.
No, he's just an outfielder.
Just an outfielder.
Yeah, Colby Wallace is the freshman that pitches and hits as well.
with the out-of-conference schedule, obviously a lot of in-state teams, what kind of goes into building that for you and your staff?
Say that one more time, sorry.
With building the non-conference schedule, obviously getting a lot of in-state teams in here and going to them, what kind of goes into building that as you and your staff go about doing that?
Well, Jeff Palumbo is in charge of our scheduling. Obviously, there's communication between him and I a whole lot. Some of it has been, pretty standard. There was a little bit of time where NC State and us didn't play, but Coach Avent's been really good about playing us home and away. And this year actually will be pretty cool. We're both going to we'll wear 23 jerseys both games. So we're 26 jerseys to raise awareness for ALS, because Chris Combs, who played for them, obviously passed away from ALS, and then Coach Leclerc 23, so it'll be cool. North Carolina, Coach Forbes has been awesome. You talk about a second weekend of the season, you're able to play a 3-game series against one of the best programs in the country. So we'll play Friday in Chapel Hill, Saturday in Fayetteville, and then Sunday here. We're going to continue that series as long as both of us are the head coaches at our respective schools. And then you got UNCW that we've played since the beginning of time back when I played here, which is a really good opponent, Campbell. So where we're located geographically, it's really ideal to play really, really good teams within less than 2-hour driving distance.
February 16th, opening day is inching closer and closer. What's the feeling like in the locker room as you almost get there?
They're excited. I just think they are taking it day by day right now. I mean, you can ask them specifically, but to have the pitcher versus hitter, the intent and the energy that we had this weekend in less than ideal baseball conditions shows a lot of maturity by them, and that's the thing that excites me the most about this team is their maturity and the leadership that we've had. So we're excited, but just got to take it day by day because we need to get better before February 16th. We haven't even had a real practice yet.
Coach, the last time we saw Zach Root pitch, it was one of the biggest stages you can be on in the regional. I guess what are you looking forward to him in his sophomore year?
Well, he's just grown up so much. He's matured physically. He's worked his tail off with Coach Dennis Wilson in the weight room. He's put on some good weight. He is talking to his teammates a lot more, just more sociable. I feel like we know him a lot better. He's more intentful in his day-to-day preparation. Not that he was lazy, but guys that in our program work really hard. So if you're not working to that level, at times people might not think that you're working hard. So, and I think guys like Trey Savage and the junior class have just taken him under his wing, and just because he's going to be the future of our program after this group either gets drafted or graduates. So he's done a really good job of accepting some leadership qualities and continue to build on that.
What do you know about the new teams coming into the conference? First conference road trips in San Antonio, that'll be new.
I know that field is not ideal, and I've already told our players that, hey, be prepared to play in the parking lot, so it's fine. They're not going to say anything in the box score. It's just going to be win or loss, so that'll be interesting. I think it's tough. People ask me who's going to be good in the conference. I think it's tough to judge anyone on paper because of the portal. Like, you don't know really who's coming in unless you're really just diving into it. And no offense, you guys know this is boring for you guys, but who do I worry about? I worry about us. If we play well, if we do what we're supposed to do, we're probably going to win. If we don't, then we're probably going to lose. So I just don't look at that stuff. I just look at what we need to do to get better, to be prepared for it. But I know there's going to be some interesting opportunities for us at some of these places, so it'll be fun.
Coach, can you talk about another semester where the guys in the classroom did excellent? I think it's over, was it 3.5?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but it's 6.5 years of a 3.4 or higher. So you talk about in my opinion, one of the biggest accomplishments that we have here at East Carolina is that when I got hired here in summer 2014, ECU baseball had never received a 3.0 team GPA. So we changed that culture, and we're able to get the guys really intentional on what they're doing in the classroom. And I think that translates into what they do on the field as well, because if you have discipline in something you don't like doing, which, no offense, nobody likes school. I didn't like school, and I happened to be a 2-time academic All-American because my parents wanted me to do good in school, which I appreciate now. So I can get in front of them and say, hey, you got a coach that didn't love school either, but still did well in school. But they have done a really good job of that.
When you look at the rotation, assume Trey and Zach would be 1-2, but for that Sunday role, that third spot, who's kind of taking control of that so far? Obviously, there's a lot of guys who could, but who's kind of standing out so far in that competition?
Well, I think there's about 7 guys that want it. You know, we're having end of fall meetings, and they all come, hey, I want to pitch on the weekend. Awesome. About 6 other guys that want to do it too. So, you know, I think Shinkman, of course, Jake Hunter, Chris Kaler, Ethan Norby, Jaden Winter. I'm probably leaving somebody out, but they all want to do it. Jaden looked really, really good, as did Shinkman this weekend, as did Jake Hunter. So we're going to need some depth in the bullpen, especially opening weekend. So, and then obviously you got that Tuesday game at Campbell, which is always a tough game. So we feel like we got a lot of quality guys that can go on that role. We just need guys to continue to stay selfless, and whenever they take the ball, they go out there and be the best version of themselves.
How would you describe the atmosphere at Clark LeClaire Stadium?
It's unreal, especially when you host regionals and super regionals. I've coached a lot of places that there's been more people in the stands, so to speak, but I know in 22, when we played the super regional here against Texas, I've never stood on the field at a louder place. I get chill bumps talking about it right now because it's an unreal feeling. I just feel like our fans are just on top of you, and they're loud, they're into it. You got people hanging over the fence in the jungle. You know, they say there's only like 5,800 there, sorry, 6,500 out there. They're just not counting everybody that comes in, which is awesome. But it's amazing, and I know our players love the fan support that they get as well as the coaches do.
When you look at Jacob Jenkins-Cowart, kind of a freak injury last year, and right when he was getting hot, but how much do you think that really impacted him, and how is he looking this year, coming into a fresh year?
I think it definitely impacted him more than he probably let me know at the time. I think he played at times worried about getting hurt again, which you can't play the game like that. It's not like he had a terrible season. It just, you know, was a little bit less than what his freshman year was. Plus, he had expectations. You know, when you're a freshman and nobody really talks about you and you have a really good season, you're a freshman All-American, then, oh man, well now there's scout reports out and people know who you are, and hey, you're the, you know, kind of, I felt like the media made him like the face of the program because of such his great personality, and you know, I think he, you know, battled all that stuff at times, and he's really worked hard on his leadership ability. He's worked hard on staying healthy. He's bigger than he was last year, but he's running just as good and he feels better. But really, he's most concerned with what our team is doing. And when you can get a really good player to do that, which there's a lot of good players that are worried about their teammates more than themselves, then you've got something special. And I believe that we have something special this year.
Anything else for Coach?
Any rule changes, coaching, anything different heading into this year?
Not that I know of, Clip. I'm going to try to stay in every game. That's about all I got.
That's no fun.
Well, hey, if you set the over/under at 1, okay, you could probably do that. You know, we can't bet, but you could bet.
Yeah.
You know, I know you like to bet.
I've already got 2.5.
Yeah, you got 2.5?
Yeah.
Well, I would bet on the under. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so you make sure you mark that down unless
Somebody brought this tape.
Yeah, and you and Bailey can take me out to eat dinner when I don't get thrown out 3 times. How about that?
All right, fair enough.
Last year was 2, I think, and that was a lot for me. So normally it's 1 a year. So I'm not getting thrown out more than 2 times.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.